Buyurun. Şunu bir kez daha açık ve net söylemek isterim. İsrail hukuk tanımaz, kural tanımaz, ilkesiz, şımarık, şımartılmış ve gözü dönmüş bir terör devletidir.
مشكلتنا مي طائفية، دروز أخوتنا والعلوية أخوتنا والمسيحية أخوتنا. مشكلتنا مع اللي قتلوا الأطفال، قتلوا النساء ونكلوا بالجثث، نكلوا بجثث الأطفال.
Credible reports that our office has received indicate widespread violations and abuses, including summary executions and arbitrary killings, kidnappings, destruction of private property, and looting of homes in the southern city of Sueda. Among the reported perpetrators were members of the security forces and individuals affiliated with the interim authorities, as well as other armed elements from the area, including the Druze and Bedouin.
The sirens pierced the skies over Taipei, halting life in Taiwan's capital as the city carried out its annual air raid drills. And these exercises have come amidst the growing tensions with China. The streets fell silent as the sirens wailed, traffic stopped and pedestrians were ushered into shelters as part of a 30-minute evacuation exercise, simulating a missile attack.
车站疏散避难的状况。
In the bustling areas like Shim Ending, surprised tourists and locals sought cover indoors and underground, while shops pulled down their shutters and dimmed their lights. Now, these measures were designed to reduce visibility in the event of a nighttime strike. The nationwide drills held across northern Taiwan come amidst escalating military pressure from China. Taiwan's defense ministry reported 11 PLA aircraft, 10 vessels and ships were detected around Taiwan's northern, central and southwestern region. Now, the incursion comes amidst Taiwan's annual military exercises that were intended to guard against the Chinese threats to invade. Among the key features of the war games this year is the deployment of the newly delivered US-made high-tech rocket systems. A record 22,000 reservists are also participating in the exercises. And this is in fact the largest mobilization that Taiwan has ever conducted. Now, Taiwan has also deployed one of its most advanced precision strike weapons, the US-made high-mobility artillery rocket systems that are known as HIMARS, with a reach of up to 300 kilometers. Now, HIMARS gives Taiwan the ability to target locations across the Taiwan Strait. And the system is light enough to be transported by a C-130 aircraft, even when loaded, and is operated by a 3-person crew. Now, China views the democratically governed territory of Taiwan as its own and has intensified its military pressure around the island, staging a string of intense war games and daily naval and air force patrols around the territory. Last week, China's defense ministry had dismissed the Han Kuang drills as nothing but a bluff, while its foreign ministry said that its opposition to US-Taiwan military ties was consistent and very firm.
sanctions from the EU and UK targeting Russia's energy sector are great news, the French Foreign Minister said on Friday. The measures cap the price of oil and close loopholes on imports. I welcome the adoption this morning of a massive new sanction package, the most comprehensive since 2022, that the European Union has formally put in place to increase pressure on Russia. Barrot also praised Washington for its renewed efforts to end the war in Ukraine. It's great news to hear that President Trump has decided to make air defense systems available to NATO countries for Ukraine. It's also great news to hear that President Trump has given Vladimir Putin 50 days, now 45, to enforce a ceasefire or face new tariffs of up to 100% against Russia and other countries that continue to trade, especially petrol, with Russia. In line with this and in full cooperation with the United States, we've conceived this massive sanction package that was adopted this morning and that both Germany and France supported and funded hand in hand.
France et Allemagne, main dans la main.
The new measures also target Russia's banking sector.
Tonight, we're learning about a new effort to share Medicaid data with the Department of Homeland Security. Good evening. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. The department is hoping to identify undocumented immigrants living in the U.S.
CBS 8's Esmeralda Perez is live downtown with a look at local immigration attorneys' insight and what that person's saying tonight.
Well, Carlo, Marcella, this data sharing puts many undocumented immigrants at greater risk of deportation. These are people who relied on Medicaid for healthcare coverage. But as for the Trump administration, they say that this is to make sure that Medicaid goes for people who are here in the country legally and eligible for benefits. Medicaid, while undocumented, could have serious consequences. The Associated Press reports the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services signed an agreement this week with the Department of Homeland Security. The move comes as the administration steps up immigration enforcement. Tonight, I spoke with immigration attorney Saman Nasseri, and I asked him to explain how this could play out.
If you're here undocumented, if that information gets to ICE, you're essentially facing deportation potentially. If you're using someone else's information to get the benefits, you could be facing fraud.
According to the AP, the new database will share names, addresses, birthdays, and social security numbers of Medicaid recipients with ICE. For now, ICE's access is limited and temporary. They cannot download the data, and the agreement lasts until September 9th. Last month, Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said President Trump is committed to protecting Medicaid for eligible beneficiaries. She added that CMS and DHS were exploring an initiative to ensure that undocumented immigrants don't receive benefits meant for, quote, law-abiding Americans.
It kind of mimics what happened with the DMV about 6-7 years ago when DMV was sharing information to ICE, and ICE was using that information to go and arrest people. This is that on steroids, essentially, because you have the extra issue of privacy and HIPAA violations and everything else that can come with it.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta is pushing back. He condemned the agreement and has joined a multi-state lawsuit aimed to block the data sharing. In a statement, Bonta said in part, "It is devastating to think that individuals may not seek essential medical care because they are afraid that if they do so, they may be targeted by this administration." Nasseri says undocumented immigrants are already avoiding hospitals, police stations, and even reporting crime out of fear of immigration enforcement. He warns that this new policy will likely deepen that fear.
Sadly, you're going to see that keep happening, but now even worse, you're going to see people going to hospitals who are just completely uninsured. So you're going to see people going Jane Doe, John Doe, and the hospitals are going to have to eat that. And it's going to be sad to see.
And for people who are living in the country undocumented, Nasseri says don't wait and consult your options in order to gain legal status. As for that lawsuit to block this database sharing, there's a hearing scheduled for August 7th. Of course, we're going to continue to be on top of this story. Back to you, Marcella.
Thanks, Esmeralda.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. A man is in the ICU tonight with a confirmed case of West Nile virus, one of just 2 in the state so far. Tonight we spoke with his family. It's a story you'll only see on 9 News.
Ria Jaz along with that, and Ria, his family wants others to take West Nile seriously.
Yeah, hey, everyone enjoys a summer night. One like this one, it's gorgeous out, people like to stay outside, and that's exactly what James Martinez was doing when he got a few mosquito bites. Now he's fighting one of the worst forms of this virus.
And I thought, that's weird. He had a bunch of little bites.
It started with something so small.
It's kind of shocking, and when I first came to the hospital to see him, I was like, I can't believe this is my brother.
James Martinez is now at North Suburban Medical Center. His wife, Victoria,
Here, you hold it, Tony, because I'm shaking.
and his brother, Tony, say it's hard seeing him like this.
This happened when we had a barbecue for our anniversary. I didn't want anyone to get bit, and I had the citronella candles, but that wasn't enough.
He started feeling ill like immediately, and then it slowly progressed into him coming here.
The mosquito bites James got more than 2 weeks ago have now put him in the ICU.
Want everybody to see it.
His test came back positive for West Nile virus. He's one of 2 in the state.
One of the 2 cases that we had in Adams County had the more severe forms of the disease.
Bernadette Albanese is the medical director at the Adams County Health Department. She says a severe case like James's is rare, but unpredictable.
There is no treatment to treat the infection or cure the infection. And you can't predict for yourself that you will be a lucky one or an unlucky one. It could be life-threatening. So this is a mosquito disease that we take very seriously.
James's family says his fever spiked to 108 this week, which put him on a breathing tube. He's now breathing on his own again, but still isn't fully conscious.
He was following commands today. He gave him a thumbs up. He's in there somewhere.
They're clinging on to those small signs of progress, hoping their story is a wake-up call for others.
That something so minute could be so devastating to a family, to a person.
Our whole lives have changed just overnight.
Like they said, it's crazy how something so common and so frequent, I have about 10 mosquito bites on me right now that could potentially change your life. And experts did say that about 80% of people do have West Nile virus, but they don't experience symptoms, so that might be a reason why. They also said that 1 in 150 people do experience those severe symptoms, so it only takes that one. Reporting live in Denver, Riyad Shah, 9 News.
Health experts say it's unusual to see West Nile cases this early in the season. Typically, they don't show up until August. Already, the virus has been detected in mosquitoes in cities like Longmont and Fort Collins. Both cities have crews spraying neighborhoods there tonight. Experts say the best protection, of course, is prevention. We have all the information in this article on 9news.com.
Sheriff's deputies now dead and a sheriff's sergeant critically injured after an explosion at the LA County Sheriff's Training Academy this morning. The FBI is investigating there with emergency teams who are on the ground. The fire department, just 1 block away, felt that explosion and immediately ran over to help.
An explosive device is believed to have detonated in the parking lot after a bomb squad unit brought back 2 items suspected to be military ordinances. Sources familiar with the academy tell our NBC Los Angeles reporter that this is, quote, unbelievable because of the level of bomb expertise at this facility. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass writing on X, the city of LA is supporting the LA County Sheriffs through this horrific incident in Monterey Park. LA Fire Department and ATF arson investigators and members of the LAPD bomb squad are assisting at the training facility. The thoughts of all Angelinos are with all of those impacted by this blast. NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now from Los Angeles, where he's been following this story. So, Aaron, this broke at about 7:30 local time there. What is the latest? What are we learning about how this happened?
Well, Vicki, this is an all-hands-on-deck operation trying to figure out exactly what happened in this incident here. We know that there is supposed to be a news conference sometime in the very near future where we hope to get more details from the sheriff here. As you noted, this is an incident that happened just about 2 or so hours ago, about 7:30 local time, when there was this explosion at this training facility in East LA. As we understand it from our affiliate here, our station here, KNBC, 2 sources have told them that the bomb squad had been called overnight and collected 2 items, 2 things that were possibly some sort of military ordinance. Those things were brought back to the facility that you're seeing on your screen here, the Special Enforcement Bureau, a space that does training for bomb squads, SWAT teams, that sort of thing, as we understand it here. And some point after they got back to the facility, those ordinances or whatever was brought back there seemed to have exploded in the parking lot. As you noted, our understanding at this point is that 3 deputies were killed as a result of that explosion, and the investigation is ongoing at this point. The Los Angeles Police Department and Fire Department, the city agencies, are helping out with the investigation. The ATF, the FBI, also on scene here as they try to figure out exactly what led to this explosion, ladies.
Very fluid situation there. Our thoughts certainly with those victims. Aaron Gilchrist, thank you so much.
In Pakistan, torrential rain has triggered devastating floods, destroying thousands of homes, submerging roads and killing scores of people. The rains began in late June. Since then, at least 180 people have died and the death toll is only mounting. In fact, at least 63 people died yesterday alone. It's becoming a struggle to survive, and the anger is palpable because Pakistan is vulnerable to deadly floods. So why was the government unprepared? Why is it unprepared every monsoon? Why does the same story repeat every year? Here's a report.
Thousands of homes collapsed, roads damaged, livelihoods destroyed, and innocent lives lost. Since late June, heavy monsoon rains have battered Pakistan, especially the Punjab province. Torrential rains have led to relentless floods and swept through populous localities, claiming the lives of at least 180 people across the nation. Almost half of this death toll is children. In Rawalpindi and the nearby capital Islamabad, multiple areas recorded more than 100 millimeters rainfall yesterday. At least 63 people died on Thursday alone. Most of the victims were crushed by collapsing buildings. The rest either drowned or were electrocuted. Amid the loss and grief, people's anger is palpable.
डब्बों से पानी वगैरह बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है ना हो तो अपनी फैमिली को हम दूसरी जगह पे शिफ्ट कर देते हैं क्योंकि हमारी जानों को ख़तरा होता है हुक्मरानों ने तो कुछ भी नहीं करना इन्होंने वीगो डालों में फिरना है आना हाज़िरी लगानी है चले जाना है पर हम जो गरीब अवाम है इसमें पिस गई है और अभी यानी कि जैसे आप देख रहे हैं कि हालात बहुत ख़राब होते हैं हर साल की तरह इस साल भी
After all, Pakistan knows this story all too well. This is a country of more than 230 million people, and it is battered by 2 powerful weather systems, one that causes excessive heat and drought, and another that unleashes brutal monsoon rains, which causes deadly flooding. Pakistan experienced the worst floods in its history in 2022. A third of the country was submerged from heavy rains. Floodwater washed away homes, leaving tens of thousands without food or clean water, and killing more than 1,000 people. This year's downpour has revived the memories, while the government scrambles to cope. On Thursday, an emergency had been declared in a number of areas. The city of Rawalpindi declared a public holiday to keep people at home. And the military has been deployed to help with rescue. People have been asked to evacuate. A handful of relief camps have been set up, providing food, water, and shelter to the affected. But the worst is far from over. More heavy rain is expected.
अगले 3 रोज तक तो ये एक्टिविटी मामूल के मुताबिक होगी कोई ज़्यादा तूफ़ानी बारिशें नहीं होंगी लेकिन हम अगले वीकेंड से एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि अगले हफ्ते से मज़ीद जो है ना 2-3 दिन का एक स्पेल होगा जो मुल्क के बालाई इलाकों पर बारिश का सबब बनेगा.
Now, fears are mounting about what happens next. Even if the emergency cools, people will be particularly vulnerable to catching life-threatening diseases. This is a country that lives bailout to survive. An extreme disaster like this flood can wreak havoc in Pakistan, leaving people to cope with the long-term consequences of it. While experts partially blame the climate crisis for the devastating floods, they also say that the Pakistan government is at fault. Its lack of urban planning and preparedness leaves people even more vulnerable year after year. So as people struggle to survive the deluge, they ask, how many floods will it take for change to sweep through Pakistan?
This place needs to be shut the hell down.
The temporary migrant facility known as Alligator Alcatraz is facing some major issues just weeks into operation. Problems range from leaks, backed up portable toilets, and sewage needing to be removed from the site. The poor conditions documented in a report from the Washington Post Wednesday. The detention center also lacks electricity and running water, including drinking water and water for bathing. The water must be brought in several times a day, but it's still not enough. Additionally, there are reports of rainwater leaking into tents designed to house hundreds of migrants who are held in chain-linked enclosures. The reported conditions were detailed in accounts from 3 former guards and detainees who spoke with the Post. They provide the latest look inside the $450 million facility hailed by the Trump administration as a model to detain migrants as it ramps up its deportation efforts. President Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem say the facility in the Everglades has natural deterrents for those who attempt to escape, like alligators, pythons, and panthers. The center's creation has drawn backlash from Democrats, environmentalists, tribal leaders, and immigration lawyers who argue the facility is inhumane and costly. State officials who have not allowed independent inspections of the facility by some lawmakers deny that conditions are poor. They call the claims false and assert detainees have access to clean water for showers and drinking. 3 former guards tell the Post they were attracted to the job due to high pay, reportedly in the range of $26 per hour and $39 an hour for overtime. But one former guard says the conditions at the facility upset her so much it led her to quit a week into her job. Guards say they are given insect repellent their first day, but detainees are only sprayed once when they arrive. Detainees tell the Post they're concerned about contracting a mosquito-borne illness as the bugs fill bathrooms where people shower. Migrants also note a lack of bathing opportunities, with one saying he wasn't able to shower for 4 days. Former guards also say meals are often cold and of poor quality, as well as reporting unsanitary conditions. Lawmakers estimate around 750 detainees are at the center. A group of Florida Republicans visited the facility and described it as clean and adequate. A group of Democrats who visited, however, expressed skepticism. They weren't given a full picture of potential flaws. When some requested independent tours, they were denied. And some who asked to stay when rain was expected say they were forced out as they wanted to see if the tents were prone to flooding.
Well, the president made it clear we're going to focus on sanctuary cities, make them priority. And why is that? Because we know their problem. We know they're releasing public safety threats every day because they're sanctuary cities. They're not honorary detainers. We don't have that problem in most of Texas and Florida, for instance. So we can take resources from low areas and put them in areas where we know there's a problem. So I've said for weeks, we're going to flood the zone in sanctuary cities. You're going to see a record number of agents in the neighborhoods and a record number of agents at work site. If they don't give us the criminal alien the safety and security of county jail, then we're going to go to the neighborhood and find them because we're going to do the job. If we can't find them in the neighborhood, we'll find them at the work site. So sanctuary cities get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the community, which is going to equal more collateral arrest. Because when we find the bad guy and he's with somebody that's not a criminal, but he's here illegally, they're coming too. So that's the president made that commitment, and I made that commitment, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're already doing it. I'd have to see how many beds come out of that number, and what's the length of stay that facility is going to do. We got short-term bed facilities, we got long-term bed facilities. So unless I have that information, I can't even give you a guess. I know the secretaries are working with other states to do that, to bring on beds quickly that meet our detention standards. Look, I think states have a responsibility too. What the Biden administration did for 4 years, releasing all these people into the country not properly vetted, becomes a state problem. Look, all the traffic you saw in the last 4 years coming to Texas, 97% of it didn't stay in Texas and went all over the country.
President Trump signing that landmark cryptocurrency bill right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Thank you so much.
This is not an auto pen, by the way. Which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. President Trump has now signed that landmark cryptocurrency bill, the so-called Genius Act, passed the House with some bipartisan support less than 24 hours ago. Now, the first ever crypto legislation has been passed by Congress, seen as a major win for the industry, an issue President Trump has campaigned hard for, also made a lot of money off of. So we'll talk about what this means for the future, our financial markets, clearly the businesses the president now involved with, and just how cryptocurrency can play into our daily lives going forward.
With lights dimmed and no workers in sight, this car factory in China uses hundreds of robots to churn out dozens of electric vehicles an hour, 24/7. This is a dark factory, an area of the plant so automated and with so little human presence that, in theory, the lights could be completely shut off. Factories like this one are part of China's bid to use hyper-automation to dominate the electric vehicle or EV market. But the furious trade war between Washington and Beijing raises a key question. Who is going to buy all these new cars? For decades, the abundance of cheap labour explained why China was seen as the world's factory floor. But the economy is changing.
The labor costs had been going up in China for many years. I think it happened faster than many people in the West expected. And so if you're a factory owner, you want to find a way to blunt the impact of that. And automation is one very obvious way.
Rapid advancements in robotization has helped create what is now known as dark factories.
当我们在焊装车间有800多台机器人同时在工作，这里边呢几乎可以实现完全关灯生产。
This is Zeekr, a Chinese luxury EV maker founded in 2021, whose cars cost up to $125,000 apiece. In its flagship factory in northeastern China, the automaker can already produce up to 300,000 cars a year, or more than 800 cars a day. For comparison, Tesla has similar production levels, but it took more than a decade to achieve this volume. For Zeekr, robotization has a double advantage.
那我们也要面临人员的成本的上升，那我们希望能够通过自动化的方式，能够帮助来提高更高的产品，更低的这个制造成本。
Some tasks still require a human touch, such as the meticulous assembly of the cables that run throughout the car. Workers also go into the factories to perform tasks like robot maintenance. The company's ambition is to keep automating, to deliver its cars to customers even faster. In China, Zeekr is not an outlier in automation. According to the International Federation of Robotics, in 2023, every other industrial robot installed in the world happened in China. The country's levels of robotization have grown 7-fold since 2015, when President Xi Jinping introduced a Made in China 2025 initiative to transform its image from the world's factory into an innovative manufacturing powerhouse.
The aims are to be able to produce more of what China needs at home and to get to a level of technological advancement where they don't need to rely on the US and Western countries anymore for inputs, or to reduce that reliance as much as possible, and even to be able to produce enough that they can export. And part of that was to have robotics play a larger role in the Chinese economy.
Some American automakers believe China's widening EV lead, boosted by cheap state loans and subsidies, poses an existential threat to the industry.
When you have a country like China, where much of the auto industry is increasingly automated, the sky is the limit in terms of what they can produce. And if that means a flood of EVs or other vehicles on global markets, that is going to have the effect of just pulling down prices. And that's going to hurt Western automakers that are trying to compete with these.
Unlike their Chinese rivals, companies like Ford and GM have scaled back ambitious EV expansion plans, hampered by high battery costs and the slow rollout of EV chargers. Staffing costs and labour laws in the West are another disadvantage the US faces.
China has a lot less in the way of labor regulation than many Western countries. They don't have labor unions to deal with in the same way, so there are fewer impediments to automating.
But China's EV landscape is a crowded space, and fast robotization makes this competition even tighter. Chinese companies already turn out more EVs than all other car makers in the world combined. But Western concerns about Beijing's EV expansion have, so far, largely kept Chinese brands out of their markets.
Countries that have friendlier relations with China, like Brazil, countries in the Middle East, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, are worried as well about their own domestic industries and don't want to see a flood of Chinese products undermine those industries. If you have automation enabling China to go even faster and produce even more of this stuff, then this political problem becomes perhaps even greater.
As a result, most of these cars are sold inside China, making overcapacity a huge issue for the industry. But this doesn't dent Zeekr's confidence in China's capacity to consume.
已经是10几年全球最大的汽车市场，消费的、购车的，包括对车辆智能化、电动化、智能化的这个发展，对这些产品的需求增长非常快。那我们还是能够看到一个非常好的前景。